Hey you guys, so just a quick update video letting you guys know what's going to be happening now. So today is March 3rd, 2023. It's my last full day here in Puerto Rico. Tomorrow flying back to Germany, which already has me full of anxiety. I'm pretty sure anybody who is part of the LGB community knows that family can be a difficult and sore subject for us. No different here. So, I don't know, Germany is always a little bit of a mixed bag for me. On the one hand, my best friend lives there, and another very close friend is there, and of course a part of me is always happy to be with family, but at the same time I have a lot of difficult memories of my childhood there. For those of you guys who follow my channel, I've already talked about this several times, that prior to getting into undergrad in Los Angeles, getting into UCLA, I would say that my life was not the happiest. So I just associate a lot of unhappy memories with being in Germany. Plus I hate the weather. And I also don't really like the German people per se. It's weird when you meet Germans outside of Germany. They're always so friendly and relaxed, but Germans within Germany, I find, are a very different breed. It's like when we go on vacation, we like the relaxed nature of other places and how people are so chill and warm-hearted and they bend the rules and stuff. We love it when we go somewhere else, but then the moment we step back into Germany, it's order and rules and everything has to be organized. And Germans will not bend a rule. They do not care. They don't care. They're going to be this is the rule. I don't care. You're going to die tomorrow because you didn't have Form 72B filled out correctly. Well, too bad for you. I guess you're going to die, right? Yeah, so I probably will be back in Germany for an entire year. I already told you guys my hope is to still get Australia, to still live in Australia, and realistically speaking, I don't see that happening prior to the beginning of next year, just because the visa requirements are much more strenuous. Trying to find a job there is much more strenuous than it has been in countries where just having a Western passport is already kind of enough to get you in. So it's going to take me some time to plan, and while I'm in Germany, I'm definitely going to have to find a little bit of work. I mean, I have now been unemployed since I left my contract in Ecuador in June. And I've just been traveling. I've been finishing up my traveling here in Latin America. Honestly, a little bit, Puerto Rico I think was a little bit of on a down note. Didn't really have that big of an interest in Puerto Rico, to be honest. But El Yunque National Forest is on the list of world wonders that I told you guys that I want to travel. So I went there yesterday. Very beautiful. I find rainforests crazy beautiful anyway. I already talked about that in the Amazon. When I was in Costa Rica, I was in one of those cloud forests. I mean, those, to me, they're just always breathtaking. However, it was very, very touristy. It was really packed, and that kind of took away, I think, a little bit from the natural beauty. Still beautiful, but yeah, I don't know. So I would say that I'm not really necessarily leaving Latin America on a high note. There was definitely other parts of Latin America I way more enjoyed, I thought were way more beautiful. and just kind of knowing that I'm going to go into a huge depression once I get to Germany, just because since I've started this traveling life, I've actually never gone into a travel phase, without already having a really clear and defined path set up, and also having the job lined up. So I've been doing this now for 8.5 years, and it was always like I did my contract year, then I already had another job lined up, and because I'm a teacher, right, they generally start September, October-ish, and end around June. So I would always be like, okay, now I finished my year contract, now I got 3 months, I'm gonna travel those 3 months, and then I'm gonna start my next job, then I have my year contract, then I have 3 months, I'm gonna travel, and that's how I was doing it all the way up until the job in Ecuador. I actually would have liked to have stayed in Ecuador, not for another full year. I probably would have liked to have done half a semester, which I already knew from the get-go that they weren't going to go with that, because like there's absolutely no benefit to the school to keep me for half of the school year, right? I would have potentially done another full year in Ecuador, but I just knew I could not work with that boss again. I just hated my boss there. This is the first time in, I don't know, for me actually really ever, that I've really hated my boss. I'm one of the few people, knock on wood, who really has generally always gotten along with management, because I am a very hard worker. I am somebody who wants to do my best. I am somebody who's really there for the students. I really care about the students' well-being and them doing the best that they can. So that's something that was always really important to me. And of course management noticed that. But he was just a scumbag. I just hated him. And I hated the fact that he didn't care about the kids. And it really turned me off that the director of the school chose him over me based off the fact that they were already friends, which I think is very unprofessional. But also, that's the way the world works, right? So I can't be like, I'm super shocked at that. Yeah, so going back to Germany, we'll probably do some small trips. My friend Enrica, she's planning on coming in like June-ish, because I think her aunt is getting married in Lithuania. Enrica's from Lithuania, so I'm definitely gonna go and meet up with her in Lithuania. It's a place I've been wanting to go. I generally try to do like a trip for my birthday, which is in April. I really wanted to do Belarus, but with everything that's happened in the Ukraine, countries have kind of been taking sides. Belarus is siding with Russia, which means a lot of the Western countries, or all the Western countries, have kind of cut ties with Belarus now as well. So there's like no flights going into Belarus that don't go through like Russia. And I'm like, I don't know. So, but yeah. I think it's not going to be an overly exciting year. I definitely need to find a job. Obviously, the savings I had through that very lucrative job I had in Saudi Arabia, those are now almost completely gone after traveling now for 6+ months. So yeah, definitely need to start earning some again. Yeah, and I don't know, I guess like this year I'll still continue to make content. Always going to be still fighting against the woke mob, the woke idiocy. I mean, I know, like even this T-shirt I've been wearing these last couple. I actually got this T-shirt such a long time ago when I was still living in the U.S. and I wore it. The first time I ever wore it was in Mexico, and this is back when people actually still had a sense of humor before all the wokeness stuff happened. And it was weird because when I wore it in Mexico, I remember people just kind of like being like, "Hey, gringo," and everybody would have a laugh at it because it's supposed to be a joke upon itself, right? Like taking the piss. And now here in Puerto Rico, you can tell that just wokeness has really taken over. Like I went to this really woke cafe. They were like selling buttons that said they them on them and all this kind of stupid crap. And like everybody when I walked into that cafe like looked at me and like you could tell they were feeling really uncomfortable. Because of course like everywhere in Puerto Rico there's like graffiti that says stupid gringos and gringos go home, so everybody's feeling a little bit uncomfortable and you can tell. It's like people just don't have a sense of humor anymore. Everything is offensive. You know, everybody hates white people. All the gringos are to blame for everything that's ever gone wrong in the world. So I'm going to continue fighting against the woke mob and the woke culture because I find the whole thing ridiculous. Was pleasantly surprised yesterday because one of the women that was in the tour group of El Yunque, she's from Peru, and she was also kind of saying how she's a little bit tired of the wokeness. And one of the things that her and I really agreed on was like, it's weird because she's like relatively close to my age, and she was saying like, man, I remember already in the early 2000s, nobody cared if you were gay, nobody cared if you were black, nobody cared if you were Asian or Hispanic. All these things were already done and over. And then I don't know if this is literally an attempt by the Illuminati, the overlords, the whatever governing power, that they're just trying to create strife between all of us again, to now make it seem all of a sudden that everything is racism and everything is sexism and everything is homophobia. So I know those are going to be things I'm going to continue talking about throughout this year. Probably going to give you guys updates, book reviews, probably going to continue talking about my wish and my struggle with not really understanding my life path anymore. I've already talked with a lot of people about this, like friends of mine, how this traveling life, and I've even talked on this channel about it already, like this traveling life has really shifted in what it was to me and what it is to me. It kind of started off as like, this was my dream because I never thought I'd be able to do this. So it was so much like my dream. I was kind of like, I'm going to travel, I'm going to see everything, I'm going to do everything, it's going to be so amazing, which it is. Then it turned into more of an escapism thing for me, because I was like, oh, all my friends are getting married, they're starting to have children, I don't have anyone, I don't have anything to show for my name, and now I'm in my 30s, and people kind of have this expectation of you to settle down and get your stuff together. So I use it more of a, if I'm traveling and I'm doing something and I have something to see, then I don't have to think about the fact that I feel kind of left behind and left out and like I'm not where I should be in life. And now it's kind of really turned into, now I don't really know what it means anymore, to be completely honest. It's still escapism, but it's not what it was anymore. As I've said, I do still want to do Australia, just because I do have a very, very deep-rooted fear that if I don't complete this chapter of my life, as I said I would, I will regret it later in life, when I'm literally physically not able, which I've also already talked to you guys about. I can tell that I'm getting there. Like, just being exhausted all the time, and just like my condition getting worse, and also just getting older, just like certain things that are part of getting older. I mean, like my back hurting, my lower back is really bad. Like I said, my left hip is really bad. I mean, if I have the bad luck of staying in a hotel where the bed isn't good, I mean, I wake up and I feel like a geriatric case. Like I have to literally spend like 10, 15, 20 minutes just like shuffling around my hotel room to get to the point where my back has loosened up enough to where I can even like function anymore. Yeah, and of course, really still thinking I would like to have another chance at love or a relationship. Even though I know that most of the relationships I've been in, I was the one who kind of made it not work as well as it could have. I just now always worry that I already mentioned in my channel many times, like for the vast majority of my gay life, I always was given this impression that the only thing that is of any value for me is the fact that I used to be kind of cute, right? And I had like a twink, athletic body. I was like a decent looking guy. I followed the gay rules of clothing and hairstyles and body and all this kind of stuff, and did get a lot of attention, and with that diminishing year by year, especially with me getting bigger and bigger. Even though I told myself this year I need to get it a little bit under control. I'm never going to get back to where I was, because it's just not like as big of an issue to me anymore. But just also not feeling comfortable in my body anymore as I used to. So so that's definitely something else I want to address this year. But I just find it's not that. I even just had a comment from somebody on a different video, especially if you're a gay person and you are conservative leaning, it's just that much more difficult to meet anybody that you're going to be able to connect with. There's already more limitations on meeting anybody anyway in the gay community. I mean, we're kind of stuck with the club and apps. Both of these places don't necessarily lend themselves to people being on their best behavior or to be on relationship lookouts or to engage with each other in a way that will lend itself to eventually going into a relationship. Overall, I'm just kind of I would like another chance, but it's something I'm definitely very non-optimistic about, which makes me really unsure what the next chapter is going to be. Because after Australia, that's it. It has to be it. I just can't do it anymore. And I've actually really been to every corner at that point. So, unless I decide to go back and redo the Middle East or redo South America or something, right? I've done it then. So there's so that chapter is going to end either way. And it's just really, I'm just not sure. I'm just really struggling with trying to figure out what the point is if it's not building up some kind of relationship. Because my closest friends, except I can think of one. Except for one of my closest friends, everybody's in a relationship. Everybody's starting to have children, right? So the dynamics, it's not like they just are you're my friend, and we're just gonna go and do things all together all the time. So I feel like I just need to kind of finally build my own family. And if I don't do that, what's the point and what's the next step? I just don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a very nice year. I think it's going to be a lot of soul searching. It's going to be a lot of drama with my family. There's always drama when I'm around my family. It's going to be a lot of situations that I don't want to deal with. It's going to be a lot of having to I'm probably going to end up having to do a job in Germany that is probably not the best paying, because it's not going to relate to anything I've studied. I don't know. I don't know about. I just look forward to a lot of very probably melancholy negative videos in the coming months. Yeah. Sunday. Yeah, I arrived Sunday morning in Germany. It's gonna be so cold. But it is my nephew's birthday, so that's kind of nice. So I get to arrive on his birthday. That's it. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Take care and be safe. Bye.